Welcome to the Bike Talk with Dave podcast. I'm your host, Dave Mabel. Thanks for tuning in. Now, before I get into today's episode, I've got a reminder for you to score some savings from Core 4, an August 17th race where no surface is left untouched. We've got a great deal. If you use the code CORE4BikeTalk at checkout, the first 14 people to do so will get 14% off their full-priced entry. So hurry up and sign up because those spots are going fast. In addition to getting a great discount, you'll be supporting this podcast as Core 4 will match that amount to help Bike Talk with Dave. So I'll give you permission to pause this episode right now as long as you promise to come back and head over to core4.bike. You can check out all the details and get registered today. We'll have more on that great race after the show. Okay, back to this episode. Jay Petervary, or JP, is a legend of long-distance cycling. His palmares are too numerous to mention for sure, but some of the highlights include multiple victories in the Iditarod Trail Invitational, or ITI, as you'll hear later, the Silk Road Mountain Race, Tour Divide, and setting the fastest known time on the Great Divide mountain bike route, among many others. I mean, the dude literally is a legend. He's also done so on Tandem, Great Divide mountain bike route, beast. The dude knows bikepacking. He's hosted both winter and summer events and is starting a new community-centered gravel event this July in his hometown of Victor, Idaho. I'm so excited for him and for that community. He's a great dude. He's inspired, mentored, and supported like a million people in pursuit of their own long-distance goals. And it's an honor to have him on. He's a great storyteller and has the stories to tell. So let's dive right into my conversation with Jay Petervary. JP, what an honor to have you here on Bike Talk with Dave. I don't know, man, I've wanted to have you on for quite a while. You always have good stories, never-ending stories, one of the OGs of bikepacking, I'd say, ultra stuff. But anyway, welcome to Bike Talk with Dave. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave. Yeah, nice to see you too. It's been a while.
It has been a while. 5 years, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, 2019. Well, I'll get into that story here in a minute, but I was going to open this with, JP, you're a man who needs no introduction. But I was like, Kyle, I bet there's some people who might not know who JP is. So I texted a couple of friends who are admittedly 30 and under, and I was like, hey, do you know who Jay Petervary is? And one's like, yeah, Instagram suggested I follow him. And then the other dude's just like, nope. I was like, whoa, all right, we need to introduce JP. So I'm curious how JP would introduce himself.
I just say I'm a dude who likes to ride a bike.
That is understatement of the world, man. That is
like I'm just doing what I love to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing what I love to do, and I didn't project to be who this JP person is or what I'm perceived to be. I'm just a guy who rides bikes and works and does the hustle and does chores at home. I'm not much different than my neighbor or anyone else. It's just so I ride bikes a long distance, and it just so happens I was good at it, and I'm good at it, and I'm just because I like to be out in the woods for a long time. I prefer a longer ride than a shorter one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say that sums it up, man. That totally sums it up. We actually shared a starting line together, I don't know, probably 20 years ago at a Trans Iowa. And I think your perspective and my perspective are interesting because you and I had two different thoughts as we're doing it. And I think that was the year you did it with Tracey on the tandem,
Yep.
as I recall. And I kind of thought that was crazy. My wife and I race tandem all the time. We've done Schwamigan 20 times. We've done Leadville 5 times. We love time on the tandem, but I never talked her into Trans Iowa and never talked her into anything beyond 100 miles, to be honest. So that's a whole different game. But that day, I think we left in the rain. I think it was raining when we left. And if it wasn't raining, it was about to rain. And man, we got 30 miles in and a freaking lightning storm blew over. And I've never been more scared on my bike than that day. The highest point in the county, there were no trees, just farm fields. And literally, I could see 360 degrees around me. And there is ground strike lightning all around me. The hair on my arms was standing up, and I was scared out of my mind. I went over the interstate, and I saw a truck stop 3 miles to my west, and I was like, I'm out. I'm heading there. And it was the scariest 3 miles of my life. And I called my wife, and I was like, you can pick me up in Newton. And I'm out. And I had done Trans Iowa before, and I know those B roads like suck the soul out of you. And if they're wet, they're just virtually unpassable. That was my attitude. What was your attitude that day? And this explains a lot about who JP is.
Oh, like for me, it's just an adventure. Like I embrace weather and I kind of want it. And I want a challenge. Beyond just like pedaling a bicycle. It just like ultra riding brings in just many more elements to moving through an environment or space or on road systems. And so like it's easy for me to accept when it's time to push a bike and things like that. Our first tandem ride was doing the Tour Divide. So, and that was the year prior. So like that's all I know about a tandem. Like we did the Divide and then it was like, oh yeah, let's go do Trans Iowa. But like it's all like where you come from and how you were brought up. And so like I come from an adventure racing background, so like multi-sport and doing weird things in the woods, adventure racing style. So not necessarily just riding bicycles, orienteering, going through the woods, bushwhacking, orienteering work and just paddling and just all these different sports. But that's a longer story. But going into this, like Tracey and I literally got off like the Iditarod Trail, like, I don't know, a week or two before we were in Trans Iowa. So like, and I can't recall what year that was, if Tracey and I did the 1,000-mile that year or not. But anyway, we just got off the Iditarod. So like pushing your bike there is just what you do.
Right.
And you're also like, you have a lot of equipment, right? Like, when I lined up at Trans Iowa, I think we were the only people that actually had full like rain jackets with hoods and rain pants. And like I'm looking at these other people around me, the gorillas of the world back then and Miser, and like, these guys got like arm sleeves and vests. And like I know what the weather is. Like I can see it's gonna rain, but like it's not gonna stop me. Like I'm not gonna let weather stop me from moving forward. As long as I have the right equipment, then I can continue to move forward. And like when I line up for something, like my brain only can comprehend one thing, and that's like I got to get to the finish, like because that's what I signed up for. So I don't care how I get there, I'm gonna get there. It doesn't matter how long it takes me. It doesn't matter how big the challenge is. Like I'm gonna get there, and that's just mindset, and that's all I understand. But my brain doesn't understand anything else. Like, so I would never give myself the opportunity. Like if I seen a gas station down the road and as you said, oh, I seen that gas station 3 miles later and like I'm out, like my brain couldn't even comprehend that. Like I would look over there and be like, oh, over there's a gas station. Like I wouldn't look at it as like, oh, that's a place for me to like go bail or whatever. Like whatever. Yeah, so I don't know. That's just a mindset thing, Dave.
100%. No, I know it's a mindset because I honestly couldn't believe anyone went on. It was such a violent thunderstorm.
I was so mad at Ted for stopping that event.
We had that discussion sitting at the table at the Squentin Roadhouse.
Yep. I was I was mad. I traveled all this way, invested time on my schedule to go show up, to go do this 350-mile ride. That's what I want to do. I didn't want to do anything less. And then to be stopped because of it was raining. Like, that's how I see it. I understand it was raining hard and there's some flooded roads. You say, oh, no, you can't go. You're like, I can go. The rest of the people, they probably can't go.
Right.
But I can. Like, Tracey and I had all the gear, puffy jackets. You know, I'm looking at the other guys with like sleeves, like shivering. Like, that's not my fault that Ted wouldn't give us the cues to go on. And I get it and I can laugh at it. But still, that's just like how I operate.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, that's your mentality. And I see it so much. I see it, you know, I did the film 1,000 Miles to Nome, and geez, talk about perspective and relativity. I remember talking to you. You did the 350 to McGrath that year with Tyson, and like, to you it was a race. It was for other humans, it was an adventure. It was it's through freaking remote Alaska, across the Alaska range, through the burn, up and down rivers, and days, right? And I remember you saying, like, I just brought a half bag because my puffy jacket will be the upper half of my bag. If I have to sleep somewhere, I'll be good enough for a couple hours, but this is a race, and these conditions were fast, and we just rolled it. And I'm like, oh, this is not a race for everybody behind you. And it's just perspective. It's just such perspective.
It's very individual. It's super individual. Like, I was brought up racing. And so, like, when I sign up for an event, which is a race,
right?
I am racing. I'm not going to sign up for an event and tour it or take, like, that's just not how I operate. Like, I'm going to prepare in a way so I can race it, whatever that means to me. And I've created my own style, and I enjoy my style. Nobody makes me do that. These are all personal choices because I enjoy doing it that way. Otherwise, I'm going to, like, go do a tour off the record. Like, I'm not going to like put myself into an event, quote unquote, race and not race it to my ability, whatever that means. Yeah. My abilities just so happen it's been able to be at a high level, but I also put in that type of work to do it at a high level. And right now with my accident and things, like, it's definitely like making me change my perspective on, I don't know how I'm going to move forward, because, like, if I'll never be my old Jay. That's impossible from a year ago. Mm-hmm. So super, like, there's just no way. It's impossible for me to be that person again. It doesn't mean I'm not going to work at trying to be the best I could be. But, like, that also changes my perspective now when people are like, Jay, what do you think, you know, what's next? You know, people are just, like, asking this question, like, they're expecting me to, like, sign up for a race, right? Like, and I almost have that same expectation of myself, but I've had to move that away. And, like, it's going to be hard for me to go back into that because, like, I know I won't be able to race at the same level I always have. And so I don't know if I can sign up for another race. It doesn't mean I'm not going to go out and push myself and tour and do these other things and ride my bicycle. But it's just a different perspective, and I'm not there yet because I'm still in the middle of my journey.
Yeah.
So, but that's just how I've approached it all my whole life, Dave. Like,
yeah. Well, it is interesting, and God, where to go with this? I want to dive into a year ago, but I look at, I just, for a refresher, I watched the first Silk Road mountain race documentary, which is great. People should go watch that. Your attitude was always just calm, polite, friendly, joyful. It was sneighing. In the words of Bayot, it was sneighing at the top of some 15,000 foot mountain pass. And you're like, oh, hey guys, having a party up here? Like always so joyful, yet competitive. Like you didn't want those guys to catch you. Like you were racing.
Oh no.
It was
it's fun for me. It's a game. This is an absolute game. And when you love the game, it just makes you smile and you prepare differently and your attitude's different because like, yeah, there again, like it's a game, it's a fun game, and I'm gonna have fun because I'm out here paying for this, doing this. Like there's no way I'm not gonna have fun. And I love to be competitive. And like the best part of being competitive with people in long distance is actually playing a game with your competitors. Like it's like there's more to it than just like pushing hard on pedals. Like I want to play games. Like I'm probably gonna like lie to you and tell you something weird. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed up there. No, I'm not going to bed up there. Like you're my competitor.
You're going up the front stairs and down the back stairs and out the back of the door, right?
Yeah, and I miss that stuff so much, and it's hard to get anymore too because like not everyone has those attitudes and like. You know, everyone like might see it and perceive me as different that way. And it's just like I'm just trying to have fun. Like, yeah, I'm also serious because I'm a competitor.
Right.
But like, I'm super light about it as well. But I can get gritty for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's been a really fun part of competition for me, you know? And that Silk Road, like in those events too, like first year events are the best because like nobody knows anything. Like, I love that stuff. Like, I want to go somewhere, like, especially in today's world with data on this friggin' computer and every competitor wants to know where every water source is, every food. Like, what about this? They want to, like, have it, like, they want to do it before they even did it. They want to, like, I just want to, like, be prepared and, like, jump in and, like, have this grand adventure. And so, like, that particular year that you're describing of Silk Road, that was the first year. And, like, it was awesome. You know, we got to blaze and set the trail and figure out a lot of things. We're paving the way for the next years to come. And now the Silk Road, it's still an adventure, but it's not the adventure it was the very first year.
Right. Right. Yeah, there were, border, like, people being stopped at the border. Like, hey, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. No. We're okay. You're on the list. We're on the list. That they're probably expecting riders to come through now.
Yeah, and then like even the riders know about these things. The riders know about some of the checkpoints. They know what they're going to be confronted with these crazy passes. Like the first year, like we knew it was going to be tough terrain, but we didn't realize how tough it was going to be. Like, and then me showing up on a gravel bike, like how ridiculous and dumb was that? And then people thought that was the way. Like I'll always say, like I'll share with you what I do, but don't do what I do. Like it's not going to be fun for you.
Well, attitude makes it fun, right?
And like I'm an experiment. I'm my own guinea pig. Like all these choices I make is just because like I'm experimenting constantly.
Yeah.
And if it like I'm gonna deal with it. Like I got flats multiple times every single day on that first Silk Road. I never said that to anybody.
Huh. I was curious about that.
Granted, my tire sponsor didn't want me to either. But like,
fair enough.
Yeah, but still, like that's bullshit because like. And I even had this conversation with them, and I was just like, "Well, you're asking me to not share my story, and like honestly, like it actually tells you who I am,
yeah,
and like how strong of a mental attitude I have, and how I didn't quit, and like how it could have been an excuse to not stop. I got 3 to 4 flats every single day, and I patched tubes. I was patching tubes constantly, And I got through that event with like, and besides my toes coming out of the front of my shoes, which people seen, of course, but they didn't know about this other stuff I was dealing with. Like, and honestly, I don't really like want to talk about that stuff because like why? Like I want to also like promote sport in a positive way and talk about the good things.
Yeah.
So it's a slippery slope of, there's just like so many situations I've been in that like I don't share, that were like super crazy and weird. Um, the book might talk about some of those things,
Yep,
but
yep.
like, it's kind of dumb, whether it's climbing through moving trains or just like stupid stuff. Like, and it's like because my brain gets so focused on what I'm doing and I become very highly, uh, this hyper focus of what I'm doing, but like in tune with all my senses and my surroundings. And it's super intense. And I love that feeling. And I can only get that in these events when I'm so hyper focused on just like moving forward and what's my program and what's my next step. And like, I'm very engaged. People ask me, aren't you bored out there doing this stuff? I'm absolutely not bored riding by myself. Like, I have so much to do in my brain. It's great.
That's pretty cool. That explains a lot. I love diving into these conversations with like Leah Gruen talked about how life on the trail in the Iditarod last year just became life. As if
Yeah.
I wake up, I get out of bed, I take a shower, I have a cup of coffee. Like that was her life on the trail, and that became it. And it's a different perspective. I'm still in the perspective of I go for a bike ride and then I come home and I shower and I have lunch or whatever. And like it's just a very different perspective. So
It's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yep.
Like, not everything needs to be for everybody. Like, I'm all about inclusiveness and all this stuff, but like, not everything is for everybody.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You talked about how competitive you are, and I see that in, certainly the sport of cycling, ultra endurance cycling, gravel road cycling, which, by the way, congratulations on your induction into the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame, which just
Thank you.
was a week or so ago. And most people's worlds, that's like what you open with. And with Jay, it's like, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Last year, it was important to kind of bring back the John Stamsted's individual time trial that he did in 1999 down the, what was the Great Divide mountain bike ride.
Mountain bike route. Yep.
And you felt it important to bring that back. And I loved how you dealt with media. You wanted to document it. Tell me about Unearthed. What was that goal? What was that idea?
Yeah. So the Great Divide Unearthed project was something I launched last year. And yeah, I have a close relationship with the Divide. It's a piece of my DNA. I got involved with that route and I learned about it in like 2006. I first did it in 2007. And I live on route, like it's my backyard. I live on the Divide. And so like, Tracey and I did it on a tandem. I've done some individual time trials chasing the FKT, going back and forth, volleying that to the point of like, oh, it got broke. Oh, Jay's out there 2 months later trying to break it again. Like I was just like super obsessed with it because it's like, I love the challenge of it and figuring out the gear and the landscape and the history and the people out there. And every time I did it, I just felt more and more in love with this thing and what it does to people and what it done for me and my brain and my heart and what I find out there. And like, there's all these discoveries every single time. And then I'm watching what it does to everyone else. And it's amazing what that trail has done to bikepacking as a sport in general, but then so many humans challenging it and touring cyclists and the amount of traffic out there. And like, I interview people and I know businesses. And so I get to talk to them and understand the economic impact. And then I know the history and how Adventure Cycling Association developed it and some changes in there. And I understand the race and how that's been built with these so-called ethos, ethics, and rules and how that has changed through the years. And a lot of it, yeah, like anything, there's growth and then there's always challenges within growth. And there's also, there's just a lot that's missing. Like, so if you were to dive in today, maybe it would be really hard to understand where this history comes from because like the things that have been documented is like really just self-centering, right? It's about like, there's these films where people like are self-doing and they want to make it about themselves or, like, okay, like that's fine. That's what you're doing. And that's what's out there. But there's nothing out there where you can go to one particular place or like one zone and really understand what this divide is. As far as history and all those things I just spoke about. There's no one place to get that. So people are just like going and fishing and like getting a little piece of information here, a little here. But then it creates also dialogue that's sometimes not constructive dialogue. And questioning of certain rules or ethos or why this, why that. And there's just like, there's some misunderstanding. And like, I get it. I see it. From an outsider, I see it. Like I work with like, I consult a lot of people that do it. I do some consulting, put on workshops. So I teach people this. I learn a lot from others and I observe. And there's this lack of information out there. And so I was like, well, the next time I do it, like I need to do it as a project. And so that's how Unearthed was born. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a project that's going to help educate, show history, show life on the trail, interview business owners. But then like, I didn't want it to be about me. Yeah, sure. That was my 8th time doing it. But there again, like, this is just weird. I didn't want it about me. Like, but yeah, I'm going to be the side character and we'll fold some of that in there. Like someone's got to do the project and talk about this.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, but I also wanted to do it for another reason, and that's like to give back. And so then I was like, well, I need to like figure out a nonprofit or something, and like I want to raise money, whatever that meant. Yeah, and I just didn't want to like pick something out of the air and be like, well, Jay, like you're mentally insane. Like, how about mental illness and this and that or cancer? And like that didn't mean a lot to me. And so then all it was like, I just called a friend that had a nonprofit, and Rebecca Rush, she started the Be Good Foundation. And like, I see what she was doing and creating this, and she has her own reasons for creating her own foundation. And it's an amazing story there. But then it was like, hey, Rebecca, I want to raise some money and give away bike pack scholarships. And she's like, that sounds amazing. Let's do this. And I was like, perfect. And it just like felt right. And it felt right on many levels, the whole project. And that's what we did, and that's what I did. And then it was also like, there was another piece of it, because like Jay is so obsessive and compulsive with like gear. And I already said, like, I love to experiment. And so I wanted this special bike, and it was a mid-tail bike. And that was really what kicked off the project. I was like, the next time I do it, I want to do it on mid-tail bike, because I have so much experience with a mid-tail going across Alaska. And I always said, well, the next time I do it, I'm going to do the divide on a mid-tail. I mean, you're only going straight for 3,000 miles. You don't need anything special. But this is a super stable platform. I believe in it. And then like I'm poking around, and that's what I do. I poke around, figure things out. And then before you know it, like I get a picture in my inbox, and they're like, are you looking for one of these? And it was a mid-tail bike. And I was like, that's all I need. I said, I could take it from there. I'll turn it into drop bars. I'll build it the way I need it to. And I was like, boom. So like everything came together that front of that year. And it was super fun. Like I loved the project. And honestly, it turned out to be really successful. Dirty Teeth, Alan Jacoby runs a YouTube channel. He came out and was helping doing interviews. And this guy works for like Hollywood films. Like he's done like top level big film stuff. And so he knows the trade, but as a YouTuber, he tries to keep it like down on the dirty side.
Yep.
But he understands. And so writing up questions, we interviewed John Stamstead. We interviewed like Mike McCoy, who actually created the the Great Divide mountain bike route, and some other people through the years that have been important and or had impact. And like I was going out and doing self interviews out there. And so when I started, and then my whole thing was like, I'm going to do the full Great Divide mountain bike route, because this is an education, and the full route starts in Jasper. Everyone wants to talk about the Tour Divide. People don't even know what the Great Divide mountain bike route is. It's kind of sad that way.
Correct.
And so this is like, I just wanted to educate. And so all these pieces that I had folded in was an education. So starting from Jasper, running the full route, not from Banff. It isn't Tour Divide. This is the Great Divide mountain bike route. And the Tour Divide has stolen this and has like used this trail for this event. So like it's like giving praise and knowing history and celebrating these people before you. And then that's how we can have constructive conversations. And that's how people coming in now, newcomers and rookies, and like they're saying this year, of course, I'm obsessive and I'm following it right now. And they're saying there's so many rookies out there. And I'm like, I wonder how many of those rookies even know it's the Great Divide mountain bike route. I wonder how many of them actually know that it's like how long it's been going on. I wonder if them actually know like, yeah, that website is super stale for a reason, and why there's only like 6 rules, because like less is better, but really understand, don't tear apart the rules. Why isn't there this like race director? Like, you need to like kind of understand this stuff, and then you're like, then you can appreciate it, because every time someone does it, they come back and they're like, oh wow, now I get it a little bit. Because it's that's what it does to your brain and heart being out there. So anyway, yeah, so I did the project. Well, I didn't do the project. I started the project. I built the project. Tracey, my wife, drove me to Jasper and dropped me off, and I started my ride, and I had my midtail bike, and everything was in place. We raised a bunch of money, which was super awesome. We gave away a bunch of scholarships. 2 of the scholarships, and the people are out there right now riding the Tour Divide. So 2 kids, one of them's 15, Eden, and this guy Jackson Long, he's early 20s. So that's super cool. Like, right, this is still going on for me. Like, it's still going. Unearthed Project isn't over. So anyway, during my ride, I had like a very challenging ride, and I love that. It rained on me a lot. I wasn't making necessarily the time I wanted to make, but that's like fine. Like, I'm still gonna, like, I loved the challenge. It was like ridiculous how much it rained and how hard it was. It was a very hard for me. And then like things were starting to let up. Actually, I was on like day 14. Was in Colorado. The sun was actually starting to shine. It wasn't just like this constant muck, and I was having a great day. I left Breckenridge. I pulled into Breckenridge that night, got a hotel. I was actually super challenged because I thought I was going to get resupplies, and I never did. But I slept in a hotel. I pillaged the continental breakfast in the morning. I had to wait for that because I had 0 food, and I didn't even eat like the night before and all this stuff. It's been a long time, and so I had to wait for that to open. And I actually was just looking at a video I did the other day, which is kind of mind-blowing. And so I left that hotel, climbed Boris Pass, descending down the other side, and just like having a lovely day, stop in Hartzell, which is 50 miles later, so I'm there perfect for lunchtime, and it's one of the best cafes on route. Get a cheeseburger, milkshake, whatever, do all the things, just loving life right now. Like, I am in tune with what I'm doing. And Eddie Clark comes out and meets me, and he does some interviews with me, does some shooting, which was super fun. And Eddie's like iconic for being on the route and shooting it. So he came out, and he's a friend. So that was like just like really good. I was like feeling so awesome. And already like Eddie's there, and I'm like calling up ahead of time. I'm making a reservation in a hotel down the road, and like already had my day planned. He's like, really, you're going to make it? I was like, it's going to be closed, but yeah, I'll make it, Eddie. Don't worry. And just like I left lunch, and like I'm cruising down a road, and it's like beautiful road, great field of view, like low sage, just like low scrub, beautiful road, sunny day. I'm just like so happy, full with lunch. And the next thing you know, I'm just like on the side of the road. And screaming and like, wow. And I got smoked by a 16-year-old kid in a car, like you going 40 plus miles an hour, like at least. And like, I was an absolute mess. I mean, I couldn't move. I was screaming. I broke my back. I snapped my humerus in half. I fucking mangled my left wrist, a bunch of other like cuts and abrasions and bruises. And it was super weird.
Yeah.
Ended up in, I had to go to, they had to take me to a level 1 trauma center. So like that took a while to get out into the Front Range. And I was really conscious. Like I was conscious the whole time. I was aware of the people going around there that were there. I was aware of the conversations that were being said. I was aware of a lot of things I couldn't move, but like I was conscious and like I understood what was going on, where I was moved. I could see it all right now. I remember it all very, very well. I was super conscious of my GoPro. I was saying, I need my stuff. I want my bike. I was being very adamant about my stuff and these things. And there was some bystander came by, collected my stuff. And I said, I need my GoPro. Make sure that's there. There's so much value here for me. And it was sitting with me the whole time. And then in transportation, that GoPro went missing, which is fucking so frustrating to me because there was so much value in that. Like, out of all things, like, I didn't need anything but that one thing, and that was with me. And like, it's such a mystery where that went. So that's kind of sucks.
Still unrecovered.
Unrecovered.
Oh man.
And so tried like emailing and looking, and I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a mystery that it went. I think someone took it, whatever. It's hard for me to like say that, and I shouldn't have to think like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. I hear you.
The kid hit me, was there. His dad was there. Some other people were there. I don't want to make accusations like that, but like, it was with me. And then when I got transported, it wasn't found. And like, I had friends with me, like going through the very, like, as soon as the friend was there the next morning, I was like, dude, like, where's my they go through my stuff. And I'm like, where's my GoPro? Like, go nuts. And I'm like, go to the ER room, go to the friggin' ambulance, go to the site. And like, we were on it.
Huh.
And it wasn't gone. It was gone.
Yeah.
And I stayed on it and even sent letters to try to retrieve it, and it never came back. But anyway, so that's kind of what happened. So I never got to finish my ride.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Well, you rode your bike yesterday. I know you did a gravel ride, and you're making your way back, which is awesome to see. Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah. I just been doing some rock climbing, and 2-3 weeks ago, I was in the freaking gym after a week-long trip with my kid out west. And then I'm in the gym, and my foot slips and a weird kind of thing, and like I pop my LCL. And I remember sitting, like, my kid lowered me right away, and I'm sitting on a bench. And I came home, and I said to my wife, Dee, I was like, when people say their life flashed before their eyes, I think it's their future life that they're thinking they're not going to be able to do. Because when I sat on that bench, I was like, oh man, there goes Schwamigan, there goes Ragbride, there goes this, there goes that. Like, I'm thinking about all the stuff that I just lost ahead of me. Did you feel that? Did you think that? Did that kind of thing go through your head?
Oh, the very first thing is like, I was wondering if my bike was all right and if I could finish my ride.
Oh my, seriously? You can't move?
Yeah, that was the very first thing in my head. I was like, am I going to be all right? Like, can I finish? Like, that was the very first flash. Is my bike all right? And can I finish my ride? And then it was like, fuck, no, I can't. Like, I was immediately like pissed because I couldn't like finish my ride. Yeah. And my bike was trashed. And that was the very first thought. And then like after that, then it's just like, yeah, well, a lot of pain, trauma, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So like things, but that was like definitely the very first flash, when you say flash before your eyes, you know? And I've done some pretty crazy things injured, you know? I did the ITI with a broken ankle. I did the ITI with an ACL that was snapped weeks before. I've done some things with injury.
Right.
But like there was no way, like I just couldn't do that in that case. But you know, like everything I've learned in life and all through my bikepacking and like where I sit now, like, so I'm just a little over 9 months after my accident. And like, you know, like I feel super fortunate for my past and just like that kind of unique outlook I have. And, you know, like I have a mantra of ride forward, and it goes kind of pretty deep with like everything in life. It's not about riding a bicycle forward. It's about just like moving everything forward in your life and being positive. And yeah, I reflect on things in the past, but like it's helped me a lot in my recovery because like I only know one thing, just like I said at the start of this, like I only know how to get to the finish. And like it's the same thing with this process now, but like having to accept it in a different capacity is different. Understanding that this finish line's pretty far away. There's a lot more challenges in between to overcome. And I'm trying to like really learn a lot from that. Just like I do with all my other challenges. And, you know, yeah, it's frustrating at times for sure. Like, you know, it's okay like to be pissed, like, and I should know that, but to like dwell on that, like, no, I'm not dwelling on that. Like people ask me about my mental capacity and how's your brain and have you done any of this and that, and I haven't had any like gone and seen any psychologists who've done any of that mental work, and it's all been physical because the physical work is really easy for me. But I also think I handle some mental stuff internally fairly well, just with everything else in my life and my upbringing and stuff like that. But so the journey has been like in the big picture, I see people worse. And I see people dwell, and whether it's turn into an alcoholic or like go in the corner and hide or sit on their couch or go overweight or just like not work at their conditioning to get better. That's part of our problem with our insurance world is like people don't even want to get better. They're just like, just keep sending me the checks, you know, like, so these people don't even work at getting better. But anyway, like, and I only know one way, and it's just like that forward thing. And so, like, I'm pretty happy with like where I'm at, honestly, and I have a ways to go, but like I'm riding my bike, which makes me super happy. You know, when I ride it hard, like I pay for that.
Yeah.
But I can sit on a saddle for a long time, but it's just to the capacity I used to do it is different. And so like I'm still journeying along here. Like I've had many events on my calendar that I thought maybe I could do. And like the reality was it's like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that. And that's just where I'm at. So like now I'm in a space of just like, you know, like when I can ride that's acceptable so this needs to be acceptable to me. Like when I could ride back-to-back days to a capacity that I am comfortable with, meaning effort-wise and mileage-wise and things like that, in a quote-unquote competitiveness thing, I will go back to where I got hit and I will finish my ride.
Awesome.
And that's my goal.
You
that's my only goal.
Is to finish that ride. Where was it?
Is
Colorado?
to finish that ride. What's that?
You got, 1,000 miles left?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm working at. And like in between, like there's been a lot of life changes and whether it's work or just different stuff. And, so I'm just doing more things, we're creating a rider's concierge service and starting to service other riders, and I'm doing more consulting work, and I have some guide license here and permits now in the Valley and this area where we live. And so you're like more workshop stuff and more one-on-one work, and built an Airbnb next to my house to put clients in, and I'm building a little glamping spot next door for touring cyclists. And so there's like, like from every, and I always say this, like, look for the positive in any negative, right? So like, I'm just trying to, all these things that I've had a vision for and that I've been putting off for 10 years because I've been frigging just like racing my bike and putting all my energy into this personal stuff of me riding my bike and like staying away from adulting and not creating business. Like these are all things I've been wanting to do for a long time, but now I have the time. And so now I'm putting it into this other stuff, and maybe that's like that next generation of Jay. And I've always been an educator and someone who shares, but now now I need to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
I put in my time. I could provide a great service. I have great space here, and like that's kind of what we're doing. And then I created another event, a gravel event. And I already run some events, and so I've been a race promoter for like 12 years and have done Fat Pursuit, a winter race for 12 years now, and done a winter workshop for a long time, and did a gravel race also that was more grassrootsy. And I've been wanting to do a community event for a long time where I live, Victor, Idaho. And like, so with my time, our time, and Tracey, like we created another event, and it's Teton Valley Backyard Rally. And it's basically, it's a family-friendly, community-based event. So, all the distances, 25, 60, 100, but then 2 kids races, Strider event, pedal bike event for the 10-year-olds, but then also folding in like our local trails nonprofits to give proceeds to them, like our mountain bike trail, MBT, and like our kids program, letting the kids race for free. Like they're the future. So like let them come in. and just like incorporating the community and getting the community behind it. And instead of like, I'm not reaching out honestly to the like bike industry. Like that's not what it is. Like that's not what I want to do. Like I want this to be I want to invite people to come here 4th of July weekend. So this year the event's July 6th. It's the inaugural year, but it will continue to be 4th of July weekend because the formula is like, yeah, come here for the long weekend. Yeah, ride our event, be a part of the community, but float the river, ride our awesome single track, go hike Grand Teton National Park, Yellowstone National Park. We live in such an amazing area. Like, I want to share this area with others. And so that's what I've been doing with my time, Dave. It's not, it's the same shit, but different.
The industry of JP thrives and grows. I love that. And you know what? I mean, it takes something like getting whacked by a 16-year-old kid to make you slow down. And all of the things that have been circulating in your head on all these rides through all these years get to come to fruition, which is freaking cool. I love the fact that you got an Airbnb and you got a little glamping spot. And I'm curious about this concierge service you mentioned. You just glammed over that. What is that?
Yeah, so it's called the bike tender, right? So just like a bartender, but it's the bike tender. And it's pitched as a concierge service. And so like, I've always done like work on the side in my athlete world in my days of being a full-time athlete. But I just never really advertised it. And so now, with permits, like we can do some guiding. Like I could do day guiding or multi-day guiding. On our forest land and surrounding area. And then also like do shuttle service for like there's definitely like a need, especially, I live on the Great Divide mountain bike route and a lot of people only want to do pieces of it.
Sure.
So I can kind of shuttle a one way or a pickup or a drop off within reasonable distance of here. I have a great workshop space here and a teaching space, and I do one-on-one. I could help prep you and your bike and get you ready, whether it's a day or a 3-day trip, so you can basically help set you up for success down the road. But like any concierge, what do? They like field the question, what do you need? And then they service you. And so like, that's what I want to do with cyclists in general. So not really pinpointing one thing right now. It's like a few things on the wall and really see with what sticks. And certainly bikepacking is something that will stick for us, but just trying a few different things and then grow that space a bit. And we live in a pretty vibrant area with cycling growing and in general and just like what we do here. And I'm also in my winter world, so not just limited to the summer season. So that's kind of pretty exciting. And it's definitely like where I'm headed, and like especially like honestly as like in those days of like racing full time and being that quote unquote athlete, like it's hard like traveling. Like I only want to really be here like June, July, and August because it's the best. This is a beautiful time to be here in the summer. And I missed many summers of being where I live.
Yeah,
because I was out chasing this, chasing that, traveling and appeasing this, appeasing that. And that was a hard hustle life, honestly. And that kind of like, that like fell after I got like cancel cultured, right? So like I had an even position after that. Like there's a funny thing going on in my life right now, like where I say like, yeah, I got stabbed in the back and I broke my back, but I still hold my chin high and I'm still walking tall. And like, that feels really good. And Jay isn't going anywhere no matter what happens to me.
Well, and again, it's the attitude that I saw at Squetna Roadhouse when you come in at 2 a.m. and you've just got a smile on your face and get a cup of soup from Cindy, and that Silk Road Mount Race. Every time they threw the camera on you and a microphone in your face, you were just polite and friendly and happy to be where you were. And
we're lucky.
I think
I'm
that's
a lucky
value.
person.
Yep, for sure.
I'm a lucky, grateful person.
For sure. So for perspective, you're in Victor, Idaho, which is, I think if you had a good arm and threw a rock east, you'd hit Jackson, Wyoming.
Yeah,
just
pretty
on
much.
the other
It's
side
like,
of the mountains from
yeah,
Jackson.
it's 20 miles from Jackson, Wyoming. Jackson, Wyoming gets all the praise and like what's known, but that's kind of a show over there for sure. We live in the quiet side of the Tetons, although it's not as quiet as it used to be. And we still see Teton views from this side. It's just, we're on the west side and we live in a big open valley. So our gravel, like they don't really have gravel over in Jackson on that side. It's because it's parkland and they just don't really have that. And so our area for, I mean, riding is absolutely way better than over there, honestly. And that's why it's really starting to grow over here more so. And then we can kind of grow from here. Like I would describe it as the south end of the valley of Victor and kind of surrounded, horseshoed by mountains. But as I travel and pedal north with the Tetons off to my right, it's like now we're going in towards Yellowstone as well. And so there's another zone, the next zone up north towards Montana is actually called Island Park. And that's where I hold some of my other events. But this whole zone, 100 miles north is just littered with gravel roads, and it's an amazing area. And I just always love to share it through the events, and now I can like start to share it through our business.
So tell me about the topography, this ride. Let's say somebody signs up for your 60 or 100-mile ride. What are they in for?
Yeah, it's awesome. They're not like crazy JP rides. The rides up north I used to organize are like that. It's very friendly riding, honestly. Like even the 100-milers, like it's barely 6,000 feet in 100 miles. So, the mileage is always going to be a challenge, whatever it is for anybody in perspective. But like the 25 miles, like 100 feet of climbing. It's just in our valley, it's a nice little loop in our valley. And then the 60-mile goes off and grabs a little bit of the hillsides. But visually stunning with a combination of like groomed gravel, county roads, but then also peppered with a bit of Forest Service gravel for something to remember. But not like crushing, not long climbs. I think they're like I say, I call them like friendly routes. The mileage is the mileage, but they're friendly routes.
Huh. I love that. It feels like everybody wants to put on the hardest thing that's ever existed on the face of the planet. And so to have a ride, you can just go ride and enjoy and get back and enjoy the town. Like, how awesome is that?
Exactly. It's not going to take you all night to do the long one and things like that. And you'll still have energy. And, like we built like a coupon book with the businesses in town. So like really trying to make this community thing, like, yeah, go get your 2-for-1 beer, go get your free ice cream, go get your, the paddleboard rental, or like just trying to really incorporate the town and enjoy what we have here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be this crushing thing. I want it to be this family-friendly community thing. And there's always problems with any first-year event and like struggles and this and that, and that's like totally fine. But I'm willing, and we have put in the work to do that because like I see a future for it, and just even like the community feedback has been great, and that to me feels really good because this is where I live. I put on the events up north, and I don't get that community feel and support from the locals. But here I'm getting that, and like that means a lot because that means we do have a community here. It's like just small enough, not too small, and it's not too big, and you just get that feel no matter where you're at here, and that support.
I get it. I just got a email from the Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, which is in Sweetwater, Texas, and 300 or so riders. It's a weekend event. There's a shakedown ride on Friday. The ride is on Saturday, and then there's a shakeout ride on Sunday, like camping all weekend, food all weekend, and only 300 riders, which, I mean, it's not 5,000 people like Unbound or whatever. And they just wrote a check for $62,000 to the local volunteer fire departments. And it's because the community embraced it. Yeah. And it sounds like you're doing the exact same thing in Victor, Idaho. And I love that. And I think it's a great way to, continue to build community and invite people to come visit your beautiful area.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't know the Tetons and who doesn't want to come here? I mean, I don't know. It's pretty special. But a lot of this stuff is too, they're passion projects too, right? And you got to be careful with passion. You got to be careful with passion projects.
You do.
Yep. I am over 50 now, and I've done enough passion projects in my life, and those don't last forever, unfortunately, and you get burnt out on them. So there's a balance there, and we'll just kind of see. But it keeps me relevant in the space, and I just love being involved with bike in general and seeing the future of it, and just not like personally in the racing days and things like that, or so it's just fun. And like I just described to you, like so many different things, whether it's the event or concierge service, or how I'm trying to like work on my personal self so I can finish my unearthed ride. I'm actually getting ready to leave today to go up and commentate on the Tour Divide riders. Like,
cool.
And like, who can't do a better job at that? Like, what do retired football players do?
They commentate. Yep.
Okay.
100%. Absolutely right. I don't feel like you're retired though.
No, I'm not. That's for sure.
Yeah. A little pit stop, but not retired.
Yeah.
Where's somebody find info? How does somebody get connected to your July 6th race? And then, while we're at it, your Fat Pursuit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to figure out some things in my life right now, and it's like I'm kind of starting to talk to some business consultants and things, because like, wow, like, okay, Jay, you need to like straighten your life out, because I have like 4 websites and 4 Instagram channels and all this stuff. But so yeah, jpetervary.com, or that's my personal space, and you can always reach out to me personally. Also my Instagram, Jay Petervary, and then the events are Teton Valley Gravel. That's TetonValleyGravel.com. Teton Valley Gravel is the Instagram handle. And then fatpursuit.com is our winter event, and that camp is actually getting full. And that's in January, but also the same with that Instagram. It's just Fat Pursuit. And yeah, other than that, and the Bike Tender site is just about there, and it's going to be launched and going live here any kind of day now. So there's a lot going on, and yeah, if you want to like book a place and stay at the Airbnb or the cabin right here and get a workshop in, you could do that too. So that's kind of where our future is.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I love it. Well, dude, I'll let you get on up to the Continental Divide.
Yeah.
And start commentating.
Yeah, for sure.
It.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time, man. I appreciate it. And I don't know. Good luck is too weak to say, but man, I'm thinking about you and your recovery.
Yeah,
and,
man. Thanks.
We'll be anxious to see you continue on your Unearthed project.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, Dave, and I appreciate it.
JP, what a treat to have you on. I loved our conversation. Suffice it to say, we could have gone on for hours, for sure. I would encourage all of you to connect with him at one of his and Tracey's events, the Teton Valley Gravel or Fat Pursuit, or crash at their VRBO in Victor or their camping pad. The center of it all can be found at jpetervary.com, or hunt him down by his name on Instagram. Look for all of his events on there as well. Now, when you get back from riding gravel in the Tetons, you can get ready to tackle the Core 4 on August 17th. It's a race with gravel, pavement, gnarly level B roads, and single track. It's awesome. And a $10,000 prize purse. Of course, there's a story around that prize purse. Core 4 is thrilled to announce a new title sponsor for their 100-mile route, the River Products Company. So the new Stone Crusher, presented by River Products Company 100-miler, will celebrate a $10,000 prize purse shared equally between men and women. This partnership honors the life of Chris Lillig. He was an Iowa City cyclist who was killed while riding his bicycle in the mid-1990s. I'm stoked next week to talk with Greg Duthman and Kenny Leffler about the life of Chris Lillig, the impact he had on racing, and why it's so important to continue his legacy through races like the Core 4. Now don't forget to use the code CORE4BikeTalk when you sign up for 14% off. Just head on over to core4.bike for all the details and an easy link to registration. And if all that's not enough, you can also head over to Lincoln, Nebraska the week after Core 4 to race the Gravel Worlds. Use the code BikeTalkWithDave for 10% off when you sign up. Register today and get ready for an epic gravel August. I love it. I really appreciate you tuning in each week, and I'd love it if you would rate and review this show on your favorite podcast platform. I know everybody says it, but it really does help other people find the show. Now, if you want to support the show financially, just look for Bike Talk with Dave at buymeacoffee.com and drop a few coins in the cup. I'd love it if you would, and I'd truly appreciate it. Be sure to check out the Bike Talk with Dave channel on YouTube, and you can always go to biketalk.bike to stream every episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome week. And remember that nothing compares with the simple pleasure of riding a bicycle.